Good morning. How are we? So, today I'd like to really delve deep into resistance and really talk about how resistance is our greatest obstructor to progress, to growth, to courage, to adventure. And I'm sensing so much resistance around me to our current reality. So in therapy, people always come to me wanting to change. And I always joke and I say that, of course, they want to change. They want to change the thing in their life that's bothering them, their boss, their colleague, their partner, their children. But really, they then come to realize that the only thing that they can change is themselves. And that's what we're going through right now. We want to change the outside reality, but we can't. And what we're doing is we're getting stagnant in resistance. People are writing to me that they're bored, that they're angry, that they're upset with the government. They're finding something to blame, finding something to call out, to yell at, to place this anxiety on. And all of this is just resistance. Resistance, 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 resistance to the present moment. So regarding boredom, for example, boredom is a complete disguise of resistance to accepting the isness of the moment. When our children say they're bored, they're really just in the unknown and they don't know how to morph into the next moment in life. And that's what we are doing as well in an adult way. We don't know how to morph into the next moment in life. And because we're not capable of being shapeshifters, shifting our energy into what's asked for next, we enter a stagnancy, and that stagnancy scares us. And so we resist it, but then we shut down even more. And then when we shut down more, we're more anxious. So the task here is to understand that we are simply in spiritual and emotional resistance, in psychological resistance. Technically, how can we be bored? This is the reset button that we were waiting for to go and work on all the things we wanted to look at our past life and go, what was not working in my past life? Was I passionate? Was I purposeful? Was I abundant? Was I living in connectivity? Was I taking care of my health? Was I moving? Was I exercising? Was I developing? Was I meditating? And this is your moment. This is the reset button that we didn't dare to press. And now the universe or life or whatever you want to call it has pressed the reset button, sent you to your room and made you go sit still and look inside. This is every spiritual teacher's dream. This is meditation in action. And you're being asked to go within, reset, become still, and confront who it is you are. And you are in resistance. You're in resistance because you're scared. You're scared because you don't know how to be in this new way. The old way, you weren't happy, you weren't abundant, you were as terrified, you were as nervous about tomorrow, you were stressed, you were overworked, overscheduled, you weren't joyful back then, you were on Clonopin and Xanax and upset and fighting, you were nervous and inauthentic. Please do not be deluded that you were perfect then. What you were was in a familiar state. What you were was comfortable. That's what you were. That's all you were, but you weren't abundant. You weren't living your highest self. You weren't living your purposeful dreams. No, you were just comfortable. And comfort is really the death of adventure, death of courage, death of evolution. Our prehistoric, whatever you want to call them, ancestors, the first Homo sapiens, for example, were never comfortable. They were constantly on the go. They were nomadic. They were facing the tiger every day, so to speak. They were on the precipice of change forever. They knew life was impermanent. They knew mortality was imminent. They did not hold on to fake institutions and structures for comfort. They did not do what we then came to do in the agricultural revolution, which is to create these fake structures, possessions, my land, my family, your family. They knew to live in tribes. They knew that interdependence was key. They knew community was the only way forward. They knew. But as we progressed and entered the agricultural revolution, which was really only, I don't know, not too far back, we began to harness and harvest and root ourselves into institutions of land and possession, and then came marriage, and then came family, and then came nuclear family. And slowly we began to isolate and deaden and dampen our spirit. We lost our spirit in the fake illusion of comfort. And then the last 300 years saw the industrial revolution, and now we're in the technological revolution. And what we saw just before this coronavirus forced us to confront reality is that we were miserably unhappy. I'm a therapist, I know. People were not happy. People were quagmired in a stagnancy and a deluded sense of comfort, but in great, great angst. We weren't a culture that was thriving and that was interconnected and interwoven and living in bliss. No, we were on medication and drugs and Botoxing ourselves because we were so terrified of every wrinkle, afraid to grow old. We were unhappy in our marriages. We were stagnating in our growth. We were obese and diabetic. We still are. So let's not have an illusion around what was. And because we're clinging to what was, because it was familiar and comfortable, we are in deep resistance in the present moment. But this present moment is the most powerful thing right now. It's to hit the reset button. Hit your reset button. There's no time to be bored. This is the time to understand that we have to go for the greater good. So what is the greater good? The greater good is only two things: community, altruism, and self-growth. So do one of the two things every single day. Connect, grow, connect and grow, connect and grow, so that when we come out of this, whenever we do, even if it's in 10 years, who knows, we will come out different. And let me tell you, when the Neanderthal became the Homo sapien or whatever, when our ancestors kept morphing and evolving, yes, there was resistance, I'm sure. There was fear, I'm sure. For every new metamorphosis, there has to be death in a big way. Yes. And I'm not denying that there's fear there. Of course there's fear. But we cannot resist our mortality. We cannot resist what is evolving, because through this will come the next evolution. We don't even know what's going to come. But what's going to come is going to be essential. Whatever is happening, whether we like it or not. So we only have two choices: to accept it, to surrender, to dig deep into it, to flow with it, to enter it, or to resist it with an infantile, dogmatic tantrum. We only have two choices: to grow from this or to resist it, to see the abundance in this or to see the fear in this. This is where we take charge of our mind and we say that it's time to evolve. Now, I understand that there are two real fears: fear of death, which was always there, or fear of financial security, right? So fear of death was always there. We're all going to die, whether this way or that way. And of course, it's heartbreaking. And of course, it's scary. And of course, it's grief-stricken. But that's where we come together as a community, right now, a virtual community. The other fear is financial. I understand. There are people who live paycheck to paycheck. Well, then it's up to us to take care of those people in our lives. Each one of us knows somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck. So for example, my housekeeper is my responsibility. She's living with me right now. Her mother is my responsibility. I've invited her to live with me. I am going to take care of them financially. I am going to take care of their children financially. I will do whatever I need to do and deal with the discomfort of my bank balance going down to take care of the people who are now under my care. And this is how I will rise up. I will reach out to other people I know who are in times of need, and I will loan them money. Yes, that is what I'm going to do, and that is what you will do. So in terms of financial distress, we all have to go into our pockets and go down. We all have to loan and give money right now, and those who are vulnerable need to not ask for it. First, we need to know who's vulnerable, and they shouldn't even need to ask. But if we don't know, then those people who are vulnerable need to ask. I need financial help. And we all need to step up and all need to go down in our bank balance together to offer help. This is a given. So the two biggest stressors, death and financial insecurity, need to be taken care of by us, by the community. We need to step up in whatever way we can and rise above our possessions, rise above our comfort, extend beyond the virtual fence, so to speak, raise that spiritual vibration, extend that virtual spiritual hand and reach out to people and say, I'm here for you. How can I help? Do you need money? Do you need services? Do you need clothes? Do you need medicine? And we need to come together in a vibration of interconnected support. This is a mandate. This was always the way we should have lived, but we never lived like that because we had the security of institutions that kept us guarded in our little bubble and kept us disconnected. You see, our bank balance, our education system. Where is your kid going to college? Where is my kid going to college? Well, now we have been equalized. And this, in its own way, is the greatest spiritual opportunity in my lifetime. The greatest spiritual equalizer has happened. What every spiritual teacher tries to teach has happened. And now it's just up to us to mentally come to terms with it. And I know people are struggling emotionally to come to terms with this greatest spiritual truth of all. This has always been underneath the illusions of our life, this spiritual truth that we need each other. We're going to die. We're interdependent. We don't know the future. The only way is within. The only way out is to go inward. We need to be still. We need to reset our buttons. We need to recalibrate our life. We need to stop living in fear and control because there's never anything we can control. These are the teachings that every spiritual teacher has been frothing at the mouth, salivating for people to learn. And here we are. This is it. This is the greatest spiritual laboratory that anyone can ask for. Yes, we need to let go of our past. It is hard. It's hard to live in the now. I understand. We are clinging to the past as if it was the most romantic movie we were ever living in, as if it was utopia, right? So that's an illusion. It was only comfortable. We're terrified of the present because we don't know what's going to be, but we never knew what was going to be, yes? So now we know one thing, that by going inward, we can now come out into the uncertain future, at least with one new thing intact. And the new thing intact is our awareness of our oneness, our awareness that we are not comfortable with our mortality, our awareness that we haven't developed spiritual skills. We may have had religious skills, we may have had cooking skills, we may have had nutritional skills and fitness skills, but we did not have spiritual skills. And this is where the rubber meets the road. You know, I always used to say to people who used to ask me, you know, why develop meditation skills? Why develop spiritual skills? We don't seem to really need it much. You know, people are happy going to church. People are happy going to the gym. People seem to be happy. And I always used to say, yeah, but when the rubber meets the road, the only thing that will work is your spiritual muscle. The only thing which will work is your capacity to live grounded in groundlessness, your capacity to live with a self when the self has no identity, when all identities have been taken from the self, to live with that self, to live with the empty self. This is where the spiritual teachings, which no one pays attention to, no one cares about spiritual growth because we're too busy making money, we're too busy looking fit, we're too busy looking beautiful to take care of the spiritual self, not the religious self. Religion is not spirituality. Spirituality is not anything to do with an institution, a congregation, a building, a faith, a doctrine, a scripture. Spirituality only has to do with one thing: understanding reality as it is, understanding the nature of your mind, observing that you are not your thoughts, you are not your conditioning. Spirituality has nothing to do with anything conditioned. It is anti-conditioning. Spirituality is to understand the essence of life, that life is barbarically, ruthlessly, unapologetically and unabashedly, piercingly impermanent, and it is only lived in the now. And if you haven't learned to live in the now, but truly with presence, yeah, not with abandon, doesn't mean you go and shoot heroin up your veins. It is to live fully alive in the now, fully alive in the understanding that I am only in the now, and I am only, I am not a mother. I am not a parent. I am not a wife. I am not a lover. I am not a beauty. I'm not an old person. I'm not a young person. I'm not a scholar, a teacher, a educator, a CEO, author, a scientist. I just am. And this is teaching us that all the things that we thought we were has now been taken away, right? Therefore, they weren't eternal. Therefore, they were Maya, they were illusion, they were fake, they were temporary, they were just the cover up. Who you are truly is essence, is energy, is the I don't know. This is who you always were, the I don't know. The I am always evolving, the I don't know. We were always this. We were just faking it, thinking we knew. We've never known. It was just a lie. And all these institutions of education and college and career and achievement were lying to us. Yes? So now who are we without the hair dye, without the Botox, without the cellulite reduction technique? Who are we without the job, without the distractions, without the alcohol? Now, who are we? Right? And this is what this reset button is about, is for you to discover your inner self. There is no way to discover the inner self without a timeout. You know, every remedy I tell people is go on a journey, go into the jungle, go alone, go be alone with yourself. Every human in their lifetime needs to be in solitary confinement in some shape or form at some point in their life. And the beauty of life is that it forces you there. Somehow life forces you there, either through your children leaving the roost, right? You're forced to confront who it is you are. A divorce, forced to confront who it is you are. Financial instability, forced to confront. Job being fired from, yes, forced to confront who it is you are. Coronavirus, forced to confront who it is you are. Every life deserves, this is the gift of your life, to go into solitary confinement. And now this seems forced, so you're upset and you're tantruming because you didn't ask for it and you weren't ready for it. Well, tough. Life doesn't work according to what you're ready for. This is the greater good of all. It is a reset button for everybody. And now you're participating in the greater good for all. Finally, leaving your own egoic narcissism about what's good for you. No, it's not what's good for you anymore. It's what's good for all. And this is what we're called to answer. The call to the greater good for all. This is no longer about you and your little insular comfort and life. This is about everybody. It was always about everybody, but the institutions of our lives, our homes, our zip codes, our possessions, our careers, our little corner corporate office, our jewels, our ring, you know, we were faking that we had control. You know, it gave us the sense of illusion that we had control. There was never any control. It was about to be blown off at any point. At any point, the lid could be blown off. And what's underneath is the isness of this moment. And we've only always had the eternal, constant change of the isness. That's all we've always had. Faking it as if there's some comfort and stagnancy. On Tuesdays, I do this. On Sundays, I do this. And your fake calendar, faking continuity and faking stagnation to be comfortable. Everyone living within 2 comfort zones of their little calendar schedule. Well, guess what? All of that is gone to smithereens. And what it's showing you is that you now have to discover who you are without the calendar, without the schedule, without the predictable routine, without being able to dump your kids onto someone else's lap, realizing now that teachers should be paid the most, yes? Healers, doctors, nurses need to be paid the most. Education and health, our greatest resource. And we've been neglecting these 2 institutions, right? Our healers, spiritual teachers, our nurses, our healthcare workers, our emergency room workers, trauma workers, they're the ones who now we realize we need, don't we? Our teachers, now we realize what a great gift it was to drop our kids off to school. Now they're with us 24/7 and we don't really think we really like them, or we're wondering, did they even come from us? So this is the moment now to rise, to understand this step back, to step in, was the reset button that the world needed. It is Greta Thunberg's answer. She's like, thank you, stop. Everybody needed to stop. We were mad. I felt we were a mad culture. Every day of my life in the old, I was like, okay, are people like just crazy? Just stupid? Like, what is wrong with people? Wake up, right? For me, we were on a hurtling roller coaster to doomsday, right? Virtual reality, creating more and more progress, but really into doomsday. We were losing connection with who it is we are authentically. We were synthetically living a life. We were going crazy. Like, we were going more and more and more crazy. Women looking like robots, women looking like plastic Barbie dolls. What were we doing? We were going crazy because we were afraid to grow old. We were afraid to enter the present moment. We were afraid to be imperfect. We were afraid to be fragile. Well, guess what? Now we're forced to be fragile, right? Now we're forced to live without the padding and see who it is we really are. And who it is we really are is only one thing: interdependent, interconnected, one, impermanent, and interdependent. That's it. We're impermanent, constantly mortal, and we're interconnected. That's it. The only two lessons in life that we weren't getting. And we were faking continuity, comfort, the future, thinking we could psychically predict what the future needed and never ever living in the present. So now we're done with synthetic living, I hope, and we're getting back to grassroots, simple living, connected to the people around us virtually. Thank goodness we have this virtual tool, right? This Wi-Fi. So now we use it for good, for connection, for the greater good, and for self-development. That's it. This is the timeout that we needed. We were going mad. We were mad. That was an insane culture. Do not wish to go back to that reality. That was not reality. That was insanity. And now we work on our consciousness. We go within. We learn to meditate. We connect. And then we come out of this transformed, amalgamated, synthesized into something new, something different, realizing that we are eternally mortal. So do not take our life for granted again. This is the time to recalibrate. Ask yourself, what was not working in my life before? Where was I bloody fake? Who do I need to say sorry to? How can I let go of fear? Who was I trying to control? What was I thinking, right? Why was I so unhappy in my relationships? Why was I unhappy in my purpose and my passion? What do I need to learn right now? And go ask for free. Write to the business model that you wanted to follow or the business course you wanted to take and ask them for a discount. Ask them for a loan. This is the time people are being altruistic. Ask. Maybe you will get what you needed to learn at a discount, right? Don't capitalize, don't monetize, and don't take advantage. But this is the time to go and learn everything you didn't have time to learn before. This is the time to pledge, to declare self-care. Go take care of your body. Nobody's stopping you, I don't think, from exercising outside. Go on a walk. In the places where you can still walk, go walk. The places you can't walk, exercise at home. Jump rope a bazillion times. Do 10,000 sit-ups. Do planks every hour on the hour. Go inside, meditate every hour on the hour. This is the time to build the parts of yourself that you never had time to build, which is your emotional, spiritual, psychological self. This is the time to heal the parts of yourself that you never had time for because you were too busy being thin, too busy chasing money, and too busy driving your kids crazy. Right? Now, relax, release, surrender. You will have enough food on your table for the next 3 months. Your community will make sure. Ask for help, food will be given. More than food and money will be given. More than that, your rent and your food, right now you don't need anything else. What you do need is your sanity. What you do need is spiritual power. And that's what you will get from teachers, from healers. Go and get it from all the healers in the world. Everyone is teaching for free right now. And if you want to meditate with me every single day, the link is up above. Come and meditate with me every day and develop your spiritual muscle. Go inward, heal, rejuvenate. This is the pause that is the most powerful spiritual gift of my life, of my lifetime, to witness this pause. But now what are we going to do with it? Are we going to alchemize it into gold or are we going to resist it? This is your choice.